And at some point in time, the chief of police walked in my office, and I was a detective, and he closed the door and sat down, and he said, "The mayor wants you to know that your message has been received." I said, "Are you telling me to stop?" He said, "No, I'm not." He said, "I cannot publicly back you because," I said, "Yeah, I'm going after your boss."
Yeah.
Because we're not civil service. We're at will.
Welcome back, Blue Grit watchers, listeners, voyeurs. I'm your host, Tyler Owen. Got some guest hosts in the house. My co-host today, I believe, is in what is Will Smith? Welcome to Miami. I think he's in Miami right now for some FOP, Fraternal Order of Police business, Clint McNear. But we got Tony Reich.
I'm here.
Jay McAlellan, the old Silver Fox.
I appreciate you.
And we got a guest board member on today. We're going to have a little dive off into his career with Tmpa and Bedford Police. Welcome aboard, Zach Hicks.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, what's going on, guys?
Man, I'm just glad to be here.
Yeah.
Got Jay in the room. We just pulled him in last
The old
minute.
Silver Fox who said, "Hey, get in here." Like that Mortal Kombat. Get over here.
Yeah, I'm trying to work in my office, and here I am.
We start yelling at him.
Yeah. How was y'all's drive down?
And I came down last night, get to hang out with Robbie Campbell and the Leighton Gennary.
Yeah. Those two guys, that's always a good time with those two.
Yep, we had a good time. So, yeah, no, I'm glad to be here, man.
I would have volunteered the Wimberley Hotel to I know Jay's not afraid to stay there. Robbie Campbell is a little bit more bougier than most, and so he didn't care for the Wimberley experience when he came down last time. I don't think it was up to his standard.
But, Robbie Campbell being bougie, and he's from
Correct.
Beaumont.
Correct. It doesn't mix.
It doesn't mix.
No,
doesn't equate.
not at all. But yeah, getting geared up for holiday season. Just back on the heels of we just came out off Thanksgiving break. Did you guys have a good Thanksgiving?
Excellent Thanksgiving. Yeah.
I just chilled around the house and.
I'll say I actually like Thanksgiving better than Christmas.
I do too.
Get the families together and not all the pressure about the presents and all that kind of mess. And I don't know. Yeah, we had a great one.
Just chill. Zach, what about you guys?
I work Thanksgiving all day.
All right. Well, Debbie Downer here.
Yeah, some things I don't miss.
Somebody's got to do
it. Yeah. Well, now, man, we're going to kind of, give an update on training of what's going on. We got a meeting tomorrow with Police One. Looking forward to continuing that effort. Yeah, just things are rocking and rolling here at Tmpa. But every podcast, we'd like to start off with our guest, just kind of giving us a rundown of who the hell you are, how the hell you got involved with Tmpa. And so who the hell is Zach Hicks?
Well, I work for Bedford Police Department up in the Metroplex, if people don't know where that is. Been there 20 years now. Currently a patrol sergeant.
It's known as HEB, but not like the grocery store.
Correct.
Hurst,
Euless, and Bedford.
Yeah.
But Bedford's in the middle of Hurst and Euless, so I don't know how
that makes no sense.
Yeah, I didn't make it up.
I didn't either.
No, but that is our school district, and everybody thinks we're all one police department. We are three separate.
Or a grocery chain.
Correct. Spent most of my career in patrol. I did 9.5 in patrol, then went to CID for 4, and then promoted back and went back to patrol.
What'd you do in CID?
Initially just general assignment, and then a few years in, wound up getting to work all different cases up, including homicide.
That's cool.
And Bedford's had a few.
Yeah.
They're busy.
We are between Fort Worth and Dallas, 5 miles from DFW Airport, so we get, with our 2 major highways, a lot of hotels, we get a lot of the same crime as Fort Worth and Dallas. We just stay out of the news.
Yeah. But it's kind of almost, y'all have reached your capacity as far as the size of the city, but
Correct.
Population, you guys are growing rapidly just like the Metroplex, though.
Yeah, luckily in the past 5 years or so, we've had a very progressive council and city management, and they've, taken over some older parts of the town and bought it out and bringing in new development. So they know we're pretty well landlocked, so they're taking other avenues to bring new business in.
That's good. Well, I know that how long have you been with Bedford?
20.
At what point did you recognize that, man, you need to get involved with local association leadership and that you had a need for it and passion for it?
And it was a fluke deal. We've always bought the retirees' weapons. The city doesn't do it. The association does. And our treasurer at the time said, man, if these guys all retire, we don't know if we'll have any money. We said, well, that's ironic because we haven't had a meeting in 8 years, so how have we spent money? And so we started digging into it, and, what happens in a lot of associations, if the treasurer is not checked on a regular basis, money gets spent. And so we held elections and took over the board and just got more involved. And then we needed to do a fundraiser, and somebody told us and called Tmpa.
It was Dick Brock, I think.
Yeah, so we called Dick Brock, and he came in, and because we all had Tmpa legal protection, but at the time that's what we thought Tmpa was, just legal protection. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it is a great part of it, but it's not. I mean, that's just a small part of what we do for our members. And they came in and helped us with that. And Clint was still working at Garland. He was a new part-time field rep back then. I've been through a lot of field reps up in North Texas. We had Dick, then we had Clint. Now we got Tony.
Not a lot.
Not a lot.
Only 3.
But I did, a couple years as VP, and then did 8 as president. And just, anyone that we built our membership up and showed them that we were more than just legal protection, even on the local level.
Well, go ahead.
So I do want to say something about Bedford's POA, especially when Zach was president. I actually use them as an example to all other associations in the Metroplex, and I tell them, hey, you need to look at what Bedford did and look what Zach Hicks did, because he positioned himself with enough political capital in that city to where they actually got a lot of stuff accomplished, not only for the city, but for the officers themselves.
Right.
And I mean, they're a shining example of how you do that. And every time I refer somebody to Zach, I mean, he's always more than happy to help them out. And
and it's pretty cool. I got to know you before you got on TMPA's board, and we're going to dive off into that, the reason why. But you were also heavily involved. People don't really know this. You talked about TMPA. Everybody knows this for legal, for the most part. But we're so heavily involved with other stuff, the Texas Peace Officer Memorial, the National Peace Officer Memorial. And that's how you and I met, because you were the vice president or president of Bedford's POA, but also you were the leader on Bedford's Honor Guard. And I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of departments in the Metroplex, but it's always amazed me, and it's always been like, wow, that is pretty cool. The size of Bedford and the amount of respect that Bedford Honor Guard has, I think it has everything to do with you, and I think it has everything to do with y'all's commitment to the Honor Guard service, and that's where you and I met, was the Peace Officer Memorial. And so that's always been kind of a cool thing that I thought you very much cherish that, and I think you take a lot of pride in Bedford's Honor Guard. And so that's where you and I met, and I've always envied you and respected you for that.
Yeah, there were several of us for years wanted to get an Honor Guard started, and, it costs money.
Yeah.
And every city says we don't have money. So it came down to Euless lost an officer in 2016, and we helped them out as much as we could. And then we went back to our admin and said, now do you see the need of why we need one? And they finally did, and we were able to actually get a grant to help pay for the first round of uniforms. And so that helped out a lot. But we've never forced anyone to be on Honor Guard. Some departments, assign supervisors or something else, but we want people on there for the right reason, because their heart's in the right place. We've been very heavily involved with Concerned Police Survivors, so we know a lot of the widows, and we brought some of them in, and even some of the schools that we sent our guys to, they would have one of the widows come for the mock funeral and then talk to the guys after they did the mock funeral and give them feedback, and which was, that'll punch you in the gut.
Yeah.
But the one thing that just dealing with them on a regular basis, and, the thing that we tell all our new guys, you may have 2 years to plan your wedding. You got less than 5 days to plan a funeral and get it right on one shot. There's no retakes.
Yeah.
You're there for the family, and you just do the best for the family. It's not about anyone in the administration or anybody else. It's about what the family wants.
And I got asked this the other day, why it was a person who was not in law enforcement. We were having some drinks, and they said, man, why do cops like going to funerals? And I was like, well, first off, dumbass, that's a stupid-ass question. None of us like going to it. But I will say, of the many officers that I've gone to that I've been personal friends with and laid them to rest, I remember the amount of people that were there, but what stands out to me is the different patches. Mm-hmm. And that's probably so we don't like to the law enforcement people out there watching, listening to this podcast. We hate going to funerals. Correct. However, we know for a fact that the family may not remember what everything said. They may not remember every single detail of what that funeral consists of, but they damn sure will know what the patches were there and the number of officers that showed up. And when you look at that aspect, that's what it's always stood out to me.
I mean, it's showing your final respect for that officer who, gave the ultimate sacrifice. We owe it to them to go and honor them, show their family that, regardless of what patch we wear, where we're at in the country, what we do, ultimately, we all do the same job. And it's going and showing that respect for that family for what their loved one did serving their community. I mean, it's one of the greatest honors.
Yeah.
You're right. We never want to go to a funeral, but we do because we want to make that honor. We want to do that honor for them.
Yeah, and as we're filming, we're taping this morning. We lost an officer this morning.
Yep.
You know, up in our area. Tragic.
Yeah.
Tragic.
And then last 2 weeks ago, we had one from Greenville.
Yeah,
So
Greenville.
those cities are two cities that are probably within 30 miles of one another.
Yeah.
Both very small departments, Greenville Police Department and Terrell Police Department. Cooper Dawson was the one from Greenville. But, yeah, I mean, and it's horrifying.
And I don't think nobody wants to go to a funeral.
Yeah.
But whenever you see the honor guard like Zach and those guys show up, and you see that level of respect, I really do think civilians should go see that because it really is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, just the amount of respect and the way the honor guards look, and Bedford's is fantastic. I mean, to me, it's one of the premier honor guards probably in the state.
And we appreciate that. And one thing, because after many years on it, I stepped aside and let someone else take over. But one thing that they still practice and we still preach to all the people is, we're not going to half-ass anything. If your heart's not in it, we'll find someone else to fill the uniform.
Yeah, if you're going to do it right.
Yeah, and, when we've had to do funerals for our own, whether it's a retiree or something else, people don't understand how many days or how many hours we practice for that one thing. And, whatever our assignment is, that is the only thing you practice just over and over and over to make sure everybody's in step and everything's right.
And I think probably what else a lot of people don't realize when you lose an officer in line of duty is that there's always an officer with that person.
Yeah, the deceased.
Until they're buried.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So people don't realize that, and that all falls typically on the honor guard.
But those are some of the traditions that I think we in law enforcement, let's just be honest. We eat our own. This is a great profession, one of the most rewarding professions. But we also are the quickest to jump on each other, the quickest to cut each other down. But there's traditions within this profession that make it truly the reason why it's the best.
Agree.
And those are some of the traditions that you're referring to. Is a nope. That officer will not be alone until he's laid to rest.
Right.
Period. A police escort to and from, and those honestly, those haven't been always the case as far as giving a full escort to. Like the autopsies. For those that don't know, again, the law enforcement listener out there, when an officer is killed in line of duty, it is mandated by state legislation that an autopsy shall be performed. And so over the last 20-something years, maybe even longer than that, it's been tradition. So there's things that happen immediately following the death of that officer, police escort to and from the autopsy. There's somebody with the family at all times, along with the officer. And so that requires manpower, but people step in and fulfill those shoes.
Yep.
And so it goes back to the honor guard aspect of you guys probably don't even know Terrell or police department, know Greenville, maybe with CID.
No, but up in North Texas, a lot of the departments, we talk to each other, and, whether it's coming down to Texas Peace Officer Memorial or whatever else, there's been email groups put together, and there's spreadsheets that, most of the departments up in North Texas have, and there's, probably 30 different departments on there and a contact for each department. Yeah. So, we've often get emails, hey, we had this, it was an off duty, but we're going to still give him honors. Can y'all help with honor watch? Just something that they don't mind reaching out to help.
And James Babb, past president James Babb, is also involved with honor guards with the bagpipe aspect. And that's a whole nother separate cool tradition that law enforcement has. So no, kudos to you for taking that on and building up Bedford's assisting Bedford with their honor guard establishment, because it really has set a good standard for an agency y'all size. It really is commendable. But I think the Texas Peace Officer Memorial being involved at the local level and coming down and being exposed to Tmpa staff and board on top of our conference every year, at some point it sparked an interest for you to pursue a position on the board. And let's just call it what it is. Sometimes you have local presidents that are kind of thrown into the fire. We've all seen it when we were field reps, when I was a field rep, now Jay, you're in training. But you've got guys that either are retired on duty, right, and they just want to have that essentially like the retirement or Christmas party association fund, or there's actual active associations in it. Bedford was an active association, and that sparked the interest for you to pursue the statewide board with Tmpa.
Yeah, and we were active because of our field reps. You know, we had, when I started in Bedford, we did not have TMRS. We just had a 401. And
I didn't know that.
I neither.
I didn't either.
And so 5 years in, we took a vote, and we had a citywide meeting, and we took a vote, and it passed that we would move into the TMRS system. But it was a 5-year transition. We would immediately go, but you had 5 years to transition because cops, again, are our own worst enemy. A lot of people had loans out against their retirement on the 401.
Jesus.
And so they said you had this, they set a time of when you had to get it paid off, or they would just make sure they were paid off so we could transition. And in that, when it got downtime to move over to it completely, the city manager at the time said, well, I'm going to do it, but I'm not going to do it, at 7%. We're going to do 5%, and I'm going to make y'all stay in ICMA, because we all know ICMA is the International City Managers Association, so that's her retirement. And so that's what she was focused on. So I immediately called our field rep, and I called Dick and Clint because they were both still working with us. And Dick, that man knew the government code inside and out.
Oh, yes.
And that was amazing. And he said, hey, whatever they're sending you, send down here, and I'll have Randy DeBravo look it over. And so he would look at the legal aspect of it and send it to send it to McLean Advisors. So since it had to do with the financial world, and they would say, this is not technically a lie, but you're being misled, and here's the whole truth. And I had established, like Tony said, political capital, got to know the city council. I, just as the president, just attend the meetings regularly, get your name out there, get the face, so they know that there's somebody tied, there's a face tied to that name,
right? And
what we're standing for, because the fire department wasn't real strong with their association, and they just did kind of, they were all there, but they just did what their chief told them to at the time, because they believed the chief had their best interest in mind. And, we would all like to believe that, but that's not always the case.
No.
And so we wound up getting the whole truth, and I sent all of the facts to all of my members and gave them the email address for every council member and the mayor. And I said, it's your job to email each one of them individually. And at some point in time, the chief of police walked in my office when I was a detective, and he closed the door and sat down, and he said, the mayor wants you to know that your message has been received. I said, are you telling me to stop? He said, no, I'm not. He said, I cannot publicly back you, because I said, yeah, I'm going after your boss.
Yeah.
Because we're not civil service. We're at will. So they told us, if you draw a line in the sand, you're going to lose, and she's going to win. She's got the power. But if you play the political aspect and go after her bosses, which is the council, we may be able to do it, play the long game. And, I've told many people that Tony has referred to me over the years up in North Texas, listen to your field reps. Don't just ask them a question, but take their guidance.
I can tell you what to do, right? But I don't live in Bedford, or I don't live in wherever I'm starting the association, so I can tell you what to do.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's not going to be me sitting at that city council meeting or attending those, whatever chamber of commerce, getting involved. But it's so important that you do that, because that is how you make change. Is you have to be involved with the council, with that city, and do it for the right reasons. And if you're doing everything for the right reasons, then when something does pop up like you're talking about, you already have those relationships built where you can tell them, hey, here's what's really going on.
I used this analogy the other night. Joey Sepulveda, you've held multiple Collin County, events like the area local POA leadership, and he had one the other night. And I use this example. Listen, we're all cops, okay? And everybody listening right now who's a cop, you're going to understand what I'm fixing to say. We all have cousins and aunts and uncles and friends that we don't hear shit from for anything. The graduation of a kid, the death of a parent, we don't hear shit from them until little Johnny gets a ticket, or little Sarah is locked up in jail because she beat the hell out of her boyfriend. And y'all know what I'm talking about. And so when that phone rings, what happens? We're like, something must be wrong. They didn't call for Christmas. I hadn't heard from this son of a bitch in 10 years, but little Johnny's back in jail. Think of that mentality. If you're not heavily invested, heavily attending your local city commission or city council,
or commissioners
court.
Yeah.
They have the same mentality when you show up to that one meeting every 2 years of
Correct.
going, hey, bullshit, wait a minute, we need to raise that. They have the same mentality that we all, every single week, we get those phone calls from loved ones and family members. And Aunt Johnny, I'm sorry I said that about you. Little Johnny's going to be just fine when he gets out of prison in 20 years. But that's the same mentality that they have about us if we're not heavily involved with the process.
Well, I'll say this when he's talking about referring back to your field rep or whatnot, but sometimes when you're so attached and you're inside working for that association board, you often want things to quickly happen, and a lot of times the voice of reason. We had a meeting with a local association, me and Leighton, last week, and they're wanting us to go to council and take our 3 minutes of fame and tell them, like, hey, have you sent them a letter with your concern? Like, let's start at the ground, and then we can work to there. We're perfectly happy coming into council meetings and speaking on your behalf, but let's start at the bottom and work our way up the top. But when you're connected and you have that emotion, especially when you're talking about retirement, I mean, that's number one goal on law enforcement's mind is what's my retirement and how much money am I going to have?
Yeah.
And if they're messing with that.
In the aspect we took, don't just be involved in the council. Yes, it sucks sitting through some of those meetings just so they see that you're there on a regular basis. But if you're there and you're involved, sometimes you hear things that you would never get passed down to you if you weren't there watching the meeting.
Right.
But we laid heavily on our citizens, because it's like everywhere, we don't all live in Bedford. We can't vote.
Hell, none of us can afford it, probably.
Yeah. So
how much we make? Just throwing it out there.
But our volunteers, the retirees that come in, our citizens that go through the Citizens Police Academy and become volunteers for us, they vote and they volunteer for us because they love us.
Yeah.
And so we went to the president of those two associations and said, would y'all please show up at this meeting for us?
Yeah.
And that is the only meeting I know of in our city that they called the fire marshal because we overcrowded that chambers.
That's good.
But we overcrowded it with the citizens that vote for the ones sitting behind the dais.
Right.
And when they see that their constituents are the ones standing with their employees, it was a big deal.
Yeah. Well, transitioning into another passion, of course, you talked about your career with Bedford, the POA, the Honor Guard. At some point, you became interested in running for the state board with Tmpa, and you've had a very unique pathway to get there. Talk about what sparked your interest, how you got involved with the Tmpa board, and how that kind of all evolved.
I mean, it started with coming to conference, and that was the field rep, coming to our local meetings, just hounding us, y'all need to come to conference.
Yeah.
And so eventually we went to conference, and it reminds me what Jay was talking about, taking the emotion out of your decision-making. I always try to have a VP that would not agree with me. Have someone that, if you're trying to make a decision off emotion, have someone that's going to step up and say, Tyler, that's dumb. Don't do that.
That happens a lot.
Yeah. But just repeatedly going, so our local sent me the first year, and then I decided I would take vacation in July every year and go to conference. And so I continued to go to conference and just meet more people, because if you need to know, you're not the only one at your local. You're not special. Everyone has the same issues across the state.
Yep.
But go down there and talk to people from Missouri City or Allen or East Texas, find out how you handled it, and, because you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
And we made the connections at conference and just got to know people, and, just continually being there, I decided, well, hell, I've been local president for this many years. I've given them a decade. Let's get back to Tmpa. And I knew that Mike Parker was retiring and that the treasurer spot was opened up, because at the time, Brett Warman was our Region 10 director, and he does a great job. So, and Region 10 does not always have a big representation at conference.
So Region 10, talk about what Region 10 is and how big that is.
So Region 10 is, I believe, 8 counties around Tarrant County. Mm-hmm. And, so if Bedford and Arlington are the two main ones showing up, well, Brett gets more votes than I do. So I'm not going to run against him, and I wouldn't run against him because he's doing a great job for our members. So why start a fight when there's not one needed? when there's an open position for treasurer. So I went down to Houston and went for it.
Yeah, we're blessed to have we're blessed in North Texas to have the board of directors that we have with Zach and Brett. Past president, Chris Ceballos, and we have Justin Ellis,
Tyler Tibbetts.
I mean, we have
Cody
some
Webb.
fantastic board members up there.
Yeah.
And all over the state too, but those are just the ones that I work with.
Yeah. So you ran for treasurer in Houston. That was a pretty good conference.
It was a
fun
fun
conference.
It was a very good conference.
Wasn't Horseshoe Bay, but it was a good conference.
It was a good conference.
It was the year after Horseshoe Bay.
Yeah.
It was a 3-way race on that one, and
Oh, for the treasurer spot?
it was.
I didn't know that. I guess I forgot.
There was 2 sitting region directors that were vacating their region to run for treasurer,
Okay, I do remember that.
Yeah.
and so
A little bit of drama.
And that's something else too. People that are listening, come to conference and get involved. That's truly how I got my job at Tmpa.
Yeah.
Is when I worked at Frisco. I went to the conference every year, and that evolved into having relationships that involved into me being an employee.
Yeah.
yeah, and I had a region director from not Region 10, but somewhere else in the state. They're like, "You're crazy. You've never been on the board." I said, "Yeah, but I've read the bylaws. I meet all the requirements.
Yeah.
I have the same qualifications they do." And, I won.
There you go. And you've been on the board since.
Yes, I did 4 years as treasurer, and then I decided to move up to 4th VP. And a couple of years ago, and about a month before conference, Rusty May, the one in front of me, he retired to take a job outside of law enforcement.
Once in a lifetime job. It wasn't anything crazy, but he just once in a lifetime opportunity. And in order to be on the board, you've got to be a full-time peace officer.
Correct.
Which I think is probably one of the best rules in our bylaws, because it maintains full-time cops who govern cops and covering all of our legal protection in our entire association. So that's why Rusty had to step down, which advanced you up, correct?
Correct. So I jumped 4th and went straight to 3rd, and then we had someone else on the board retire.
Yeah.
And President Ceballos at the time just moved everyone up a spot. So I did 3 months as 3rd VP.
Which kind of, it's kind of stinks because, when you got a good board of directors, and I'm not just kissing your ass because you're sitting in front of me, but it stinks because it through different things in life, we did have some retirements, Rusty getting that phenomenal job opportunity, and then you advancing up. You kind of missed out on probably 2 years of good executive leadership within Tmpa and the board. So,
so I went last year. I was planning on being 4th, and then this year I ran for 1st. I just
it's crazy.
Went right up, and it'll be crazy in July when I run for president. But I was talking to Randy earlier, and I told him the reason I believe we're more successful than other people is because we have to be full-time law enforcement to be on the board, and our president serves 1 term. We have a 1-year term. It's not a 14 or 30-year president that just gets stale.
Yeah.
We have new people
mixed,
coming on the board.
I'm mixed. I'm mixed. My emotions are mixed on that. I don't, I can sit here and say different things, but I feel like it's almost like the current presidents we have, it's almost like they just now got comfortable in knowing the position, and then
just about when it gets there, boom, they're gone.
Which could be great because of the fresh ideas coming in and so forth, but it almost feels like, man, they just get comfortable and then it's boom, it's like a night shift, right? I had a 28-day rotation every 4 weeks or 30. Am I right? 28 days? Yeah, 28 days.
I don't know. I didn't do that.
Where it was, I got my sleep. Yeah, it's math. It's hard. I was East Texas, so I would get my sleep pattern down, and boom, it would change the days. But it's almost like the same deal. The same situation.
Yeah. The good thing is with the way our board's structured is when the president rolls off, he does a year as immediate past president, so he can still be there as an advisor to the sitting new president.
Right. Well, and I think over the past, there's been I got hired in 2017 as a part-time rep, and so and it wasn't anybody's doing. It wasn't anything that the board was a division there, but it seems like the last several years, when I first started with Tmpa, there was almost a separation with the sense of they had the board, and then you had the employees. And we were for the common goal, but the boards basically met and they governed, these are the rules. But now it feels like the board truly, we're all kind of meshed in with this in a melting pot of doing greater good for the mission of law enforcement. So, like, for example, like if Tony can't go to a funeral or if you're in Abilene, Texas, you're going to stop by there and fulfill almost that field representative spot. It's almost like there's more of a team effort, I think. And it's
100%
the way it worked. You know, it wasn't anybody's doing. It's just now we've kind of transitioned to this big thing where we're all on the same team and we're all working towards the common goal. And I think that's what makes us different. That's what is pushing the success of this organization. That's why we continue to be the biggest and be the best in Texas, is because of that reason.
Well, I know several of us up in North Texas, if Tony's got an event and he calls us, you know, we show up, and we don't show up just to glad hand and shake hands and, you know, take photos with people.
I did see you kiss a baby, so don't say kiss babies, because I did see you kiss a baby at an event 2 weeks ago.
But, you know, we help Tony
Yep.
cook. You know, if he needs help with that, you know, we do whatever we need to do. Tony will call me and say, hey, I can't get by Costco. Can you go pick this up?
Yeah.
And we have no issue doing that because it's for the members.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about us. You know, y'all are more important than we are, because y'all are with them face to face every day. We're not. You know, yes, we do make decisions, and y'all don't always like our decisions, but you know, we have to set a budget just like everybody else.
Yeah.
Well, I will say the board. I can't think of a single board member that we have that if one of us called them and said, "Hey, can you come help us do this?" They're all going to show up.
Yep,
For sure.
And I can't think of one in the past even.
No, me either.
I can think of, you know, that's been that way.
So we do rely on the board members, you know, to help us, because there's only.
But I think it's
handful of us.
changed. I think before, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, we as employees didn't feel like
maybe as comfortable calling them to ask for help.
Yeah. I think that us, you know, being more included with different you know situations. I think that we as employees are now recognizing, man, they're just like us and they're for the same mission, and so it's been.
And they support us.
So
they support us. They support the members. They support
and like
the
I said,
mission of the organization.
I don't think the board in the past has not been as supportive, but I think we as the employees are feeling more comfortable as far as a big team effort, and that's what the beauty is behind it.
You know, at the last board meeting afterwards, when we were just watching some college football, you know, I heard Kevin speaking to a past president, and he said that, you know, no offense to the past president he was speaking to, because that's what he told him to his face. He said, but the current board we have now is more engaged than it's ever been before. And Kevin's seen a lot of boards over the years, you know, so apparently from the top down,
Right.
you know, everybody sees it, and we appreciate that, because that's, you know, we are all on one team. We should not be separate. Most of y'all are in a lot of the board meetings, you know, answering questions and having your input as well.
And these guys are volunteering their time. You know, we have, 19 board members who are volunteering their time, taking vacation, et cetera, to come do what we do for the, 34,000 members that we have.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's been awesome having you on the board. I hate that it's been expedited by 2 years. But looking forward to coming up the next conference in Houston. By the way, mark your calendars. July 26th. You asked me this the other day. July 26th, 27th, and 28th. Jay's looking it up right now.
That sounds right.
Or he just had a scratch.
No, I'm looking it up.
Yeah, mark your calendars. It's going to be Houston. It's not going to be at the Marriott. It's going to be at the Hyatt in Houston, and we will push that information out in the next couple of weeks. It's actually going to be July 25th, 26th, and 27th, and 28th will be your Netflix on a couch day. So after partying all weekend. But yeah, it's going to be a good time. Damn good time.
Yeah, and it's ironic because the way it was set up, and when a few years ago we signed a 3-year contract with Hyatt and trying to move it around the state.
Great opportunity. Great decision too.
I mean, for a money standpoint, we saved a lot of money by booking it out. But there's not a lot of big hotels in East Texas where you're from. So Ken Gardner had to get named president in Dallas.
I feel like that was a shot. That was a shot.
Well, y'all have a Holiday Inn and a Motel 6 in Marshall.
Yeah, we did, just not where we want to hold the conference.
That's true.
Okay.
And motels, no hotels.
All right. Go ahead.
So it was laid out where, the 3 presidents would kind of have a hometown setting when they became president.
And that's kind of gone to the wayside since COVID.
Yeah.
Really.
Well, even though I'm not going to be at home when I'm named president, that I'll be in Houston, which is ironic because my first conference was in Houston. I got on the board in Houston, and now I'll become president in Houston.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So it all worked out.
I don't know where the next one's going to be at. We'll have to wait and see. If you happen to be watching this podcast and you're associated with Marriott, or Hilton, feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to have you guys as a sponsor. Or if you're just a pro law enforcement company, and you want to get involved and be a sponsor at our conference, keep in mind that we've got about 700 attendees, and that number grows every single year. This is an off year for the FOP, but the next following year we'll have Texas FOP Tmpa conference, the joint conference again. So yeah, good times in the Western Front. So, you got anything else, man?
No.
It's enjoyed having you down. It's always a good time. You and I get to meet. You know, we're colleagues in a sense, but we're also good friends. And so I hope there's going to be some new adventures coming up in the Hicks family, and continuing to pray for you and your wife on a daily 100%. Basis. And looking forward to the next couple months of what it brings. So
you did help at the first Dallas conference. I got engaged, and you helped facilitate that a little bit. Up in the ball.
I did, and you are the reason why the Angels Envy thing happened. You are the reason why I had the accident in the bed. Zach Hicks.
I was one of 3 people that night, and apparently I'm the only one of the 3 that did not have an adverse effect to the Angels Envy.
Well, the Lord works in mysterious ways, and thank God it hasn't happened again, but I call that a Hickanism, is whenever you urinate the bed and have little accidents. But word to the wise, Angels Envy is not your friend at night. So
that's funny.
Anyway, well, man, if you have anything else, we're going to end this with our 3 rapid-fire questions. But wait, hold on. Update on training. Let's talk about that real quick, and let's talk about the reason why it's important for Tmpa to continue the relationship with Police One. I guess not just because of the criteria or itinerary, but for the access. I think that Police One does a really good job of giving us that discount. You with the board, y'all saw the need to make that investment, and so we're going to meet with them again tomorrow and kind of look at the bigger picture and analyze what the cost and effect and how much people are utilizing it. So, yeah, talk about Police One, talk about what's going on. Give us a training update, Mr. Training Coordinator.
Yeah, so, Police One is a program we've had for a little while now. We've partnered with them, but it's really started to grow. Yeah. I think, officers being able to, I guess, quote, unquote, remotely take some training, where they can – get some mandates in, get some training hours done, but not have to sit in that classroom setting for 8 hours, 16 hours or whatnot. They can do it kind of at their own pace. So we're kind of looking to expand that as well. We just continue to schedule classes. We're looking at some new partnerships coming up, some things on the horizon as we move into the new year. So
I do want to address something. The reason why we did things different, there is other organization out there within Texas that offers similar, not as good services as Tmpa. And so with their training aspect, Police One, their stuff is a lottery. And so what happens is that if you think about it, if you've got 34,000 members of Texas law enforcement, which Tmpa does have, and we're only slotted, which Police One only gives them 20 slots. And so if those slots are given to those 20, they can't give those to anybody else. So you have to wait for your turn in order for those to, when you claim to have free training, well, then it should be free to all of your members. Right, and that's not the case with other organizations out there. And so we advised our board of directors of the situation. We advised of the not correct advertising that was going on and said, hey, we got an option to be more fiscally responsible. This is what option 1 is based off what Police One's told us, and this is what they're willing to offer. And so you guys made the correct choice, and we've partnered up with them. So I believe
it's $30. But
that's cheap.
We kind of advertise it as 50 hours of T-Cole training, but there's well over 50 hours on there. We open the entire catalog up to the membership for the $30. So, it's not very much, money, and you get a lot of training out of it. And some of the stuff may not even be T-Cole, but it may just be, training that you want to use for a roll call, like maybe a 10-minute video on, driving or pursuits or what have you. You can kind of incorporate it into in-house training as well. So, yeah, it's Police One is a huge value for us.
I don't know. I'm gonna plug another podcast here. It's probably, I think, the #1 podcast in the world, but Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
I don't know if
never heard of him.
Yeah, I never heard of the guy. Probably not too far from us sitting down here in Austin.
Not.
Yeah. But yesterday, I was listening to an episode, and I forgot the guy's name he had on there, but some, high speed operator, from the Middle East, I don't know if he's a SEAL or what he was, but they were talking about training. and they were talking about how much they support local law enforcement. But they both said, imagine if local law enforcement got the training that the military received. Mm-hmm. He said, they sit in the classroom, 75% of the time, instead of, why not reverse that where you're doing most of your, once you're out on the street, you can figure out how to do the paperwork.
Yeah.
So anyway, training's a big deal. And I think it's something that, a lot of guys kind of get complacent with when they get in their career. I got my license now, I'm good. But
especially as your career progresses.
Yeah, but it's so important, man, to keep that, keep that training up, look for the cutting edge stuff. I know Jay does a great job with that. And I think, I think Tmpa is leading the edge on that too, as far as providing classes around the state.
Yeah, and I think you're just now getting to where you of course, listen, when you first start any job, you got to kind of get what we like to say in East Texas, get the old wheels greased up. Well, they're greased, and I think you're just now getting going. I think that you're going to set the standard and set the tone of really what law enforcement associations should be doing on the training aspect, and I think we're going to be the model, not only in Texas but across the nation. Once you kind of get your feet planted, which they are now. So
yeah, no, I appreciate it. I hope you're right. I'm going to continue.
No. Yeah, I am right. It's just a matter of time of you making.
Look at
it
that.
happen.
He's finally right, y'all. You hear that?
Oh, here we go. I don't get to say that often.
No, but we steamroll this thing and make it as best as we possibly can. Our members deserve it. And law enforcement in this state deserves it. Whether you're a member or not, we're gonna train you up. We care about the people that go out there every day and do this job. Whether you pay your dues or you're a member somewhere else, we're gonna continue to support you, in the training and whatever you need to be successful in this career. Because that's what we do. We support law enforcement. So I agree.
Well, I think it's rapid fire question time. Have you studied?
I've watched a lot of episodes.
All right, you ready?
He's been thinking about it for months.
I hope he answers the correct one.
I think he's gonna answer it correctly. But I don't know. We haven't talked about it
20
before.
years. He's got to figure it out.
What's your favorite cop movie? What's your favorite cop car? And what's your favorite drink of choice whenever you're hanging out?
Or line from a cop movie.
Line from a cop movie, sorry.
It's Super Troopers. Any line from Super Troopers.
It's a great one. Meow.
Sorry, the audience showed up.
Leighton Ganeri and Joey Sepulveda just walked in.
And Crown Vic is the best police.
Crown Vic.
Oh, yeah,
drink
Crown
of choice?
Old fashioned, because that is the drink
That's
of
the
choice.
drink of
That is the
choice.
official
TMPA.
drink.
It is.
Now,
TMPA
Tony,
field rep.
right after I got elected to the board, Tony took me down with the field reps, and we had a smoked old fashioned in that hotel. That was amazing.
It was good.
So we got some field reps in the hallway right now. It was
They're all
hotter than
staring
hell.
at us.
It was hotter than hell inside this room when we got here, so we left the door open, and now I'm regretting that because Leighton Ganeri's grabbing his the top of his shirt. But I will tell y'all, speaking of old fashions, there's a place down in Austin that do frozen old fashions,
That doesn't
and
even
they
sound right.
are delicious.
Really?
Yes. Did not have Angel's Envy in mind for obvious reasons, but we'll have to take you down there and treat that. So
Sounds good.
anyway, well, hey, we're wrapping up. Listen, guys, it's gold ball season in Texas. State semifinals. Wimberley Texans are going to be playing this Friday against Waco La Vega and hopefully going on to the state championship. Hopefully we can bring back that state championship. Y'all,
golden football time.
I know you don't like talking about football because y'all season didn't work out too good.
It was a rough season for my kids varsity.
But he's
team.
a sophomore.
They get beat out of the playoffs in a bye week. How do you?
Yeah,
it's like getting fired on your day off.
that's why I feel guilty every time I send him an update because he's always asking, "Hey, how'd y'all do?" And I just feel like it's almost like I feel like I got the prettier girl. You're right. I mean, I feel like Jay's kind of the single guy, and
I'm
he's
having
at
to
home.
live vicariously through Wimberley.
You are, man. Hey, it's fun. Hey, Texan pride for life.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Yeah, but good luck to those guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gold ball season across the state. Hopefully, Duncanville and North Crowley. I'm hoping North Crowley pulls that out. Longview's taking on DeSoto. And there's a whole bunch of other good teams out there. So, is Allen still in the playoffs?
I have no idea.
Allen's out. They got beat. Oh, that's right.
Oh,
okay.
wow.
Well, we're getting an update by the play-by-play guys, Robbie Campbell and Leighton Ganeri, the other also high school football fanatics, which we love
too.
But listen, we got our Christmas party today. You guys stay safe. Everything going on right now with the loss of Greenville with Cooper Dawson, and then this morning with the loss of a Terrell police officer. Please, please, please be safe. We love you guys, and if you need anything, don't ever hesitate to reach out. God bless you, and as always, may God bless Texas. This is it for us.